I said during bull runs, we get a lot of those dips, especially the parabolic ones. Okay, and you could see the 2017 rise. That was terrific and hella scary. Okay, it was really, really scary. I mean, imagine waking up and seeing a 40% dip. That's, I'll tell you, that's no fun. As we go higher, we will see more dips. Now, luckily, those dips are getting smaller in percentage, but still significant. But, you know, if you've been around back in 2017, you would wake up to like a 20, 30, 40% dip. And it would last for maybe a week before we recovered and went back up. Those are scary times. That's like going from 70K down to 30K, right? That's almost the equivalent of that overnight. And that's scary. But that was years ago. Even in 2021, we saw. But luckily not as big as like the 40%. We saw like a lot of 20 something percent. We did see one major one at 32%, but still, we saw them. And we saw it coming back up in 2023, and now we're seeing it. 2023, we saw some massive 20% dips. But these days, because of the ETFs, we're not really even seeing those. I just showed you the 15% one that we had, and yesterday's and today's is about 11%. But when you zoom out, you can't really even see it. Like that 15% doesn't even show up. But like I said, with this parabolic bull run starting, with us going higher, we will see more of this. This is normal, very normal. You can't ever show me a chart of Bitcoin that just does this on a forever, time scale. It's not going to happen. It's going to show there will be small dips, but today's, it came suddenly. But that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything has changed. If you're a long-term holder, you continue to hold. And if you're a long-term DCA type of person, you continue to DCA. You don't want to sell your Bitcoin to the big boys. I guarantee you that the ETFs are not done buying. In fact, I don't have the numbers from yesterday. Today I'm missing it, but I'll show you guys. Those numbers are not going to diminish. Those numbers are only going to increase from here on out. The supply shock is real. And guys who understand, they truly understand. Now, President Bukele, El Salvador, learned this from Saylor, but it turns out he has way more Bitcoin than people know about. And he just gave this out. People thought El Salvador had about like 250 million worth of Bitcoin. But no, he actually purchased a lot more. And he said, he's transferring the Bitcoin to a cold wallet. Well, if you have $400 million worth of Bitcoin, you probably should transfer it to a cold wallet and not like hold it on your trust wallet. But, their Bitcoin total balance is quite high, almost $500 million. That's just from DCAing for a few years. Obviously, a country has a lot more money than most people, but still, he knows it. And this may one day make El Salvador free from the IMF and free from the World Bank and become a powerhouse due to his Bitcoin holdings and DCAing. And of course, Saylor, he's not done buying. He just raised $525 million again. He said he was going to raise $500 million. He raised $525 million, okay, with a small interest rate. I don't know who he's selling this to. Like, I don't know. I feel like Michael Saylor found a cheat code. Like, who in Wall Street would loan him $525 million over 7 years and only pay less than a percentage of interest? I would like to do that. I would like to raise $500 million and pay 1% interest. You put it in Bitcoin, it's a cheat code. The payback is 7 years. That's 2 more cycles from now. Bitcoin will be at $1 million by then. How is Saylor doing this? I feel like this is an absolute cheat code right now. Every company, every public traded company should be doing this. You're basically getting free money. It's much less than what you would get from a bank. Even a bank won't lend you anything for 0.875 interest. That's absolutely crazy. But anyways, you know where this is going. 525 more is going to Bitcoin, right? And this is on top of the 800 million that he just bought last week. But again, I feel like this is a cheat code. I don't know like who in Wall Street, what banks are stupid enough to do this when they could just go buy good old Bitcoin. And here's the thing, and look at this. This is probably the biggest endorsement I've ever seen for Robert Kiyosaki in terms of Bitcoin, because he's actually downplaying gold and silver now. That's how bullish he is. I don't know if he started loading up by the billions. You know that Mr. 100 I've been showing you guys? Maybe that's Robert Kiyosaki. I don't know. But just listen to this. I love gold and silver. I own gold and silver mines. The problem with gold and silver is the higher the prices go, the more gold and silver is found, because you just don't know. It's unlimited amount. Same with oil. I own oil wells also. That is not true with Bitcoin. No matter how high the price of Bitcoin goes, there will only be 21 million ever. That's why I love Bitcoin. That's probably the biggest endorsement I've ever seen from him. I mean, he's dissing his favorites that he's been talking about for decades, which is gold and silver. If you listen to his interviews, all he talks about is loading up on gold and silver and buying gold and silver mines. And now he's putting them aside and saying, I love Bitcoin because it's even better than they are. Like that's pretty big endorsement. You take that however you want, but he's telling the truth. That's fact. And that's a big endorsement. So good for him. He's turning into a full-blown... It'll be interesting if he gets Michael Saylor on his interview, on his podcast. That'll probably happen soon. But anyways, really, really good. Really good indeed. According to JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon's bank, Bitcoin has already surpassed gold in investor portfolio allocations. That's hard to believe, but you know what? Then again, how many people invest in gold these days? People buy gold as a hedge, but they don't really put in their portfolio, I would think, for appreciation. Not at this point. But we know this will only increase. All the other funds are trying to FOMO and trying to get approval to add Bitcoin ETFs in their funds. So we know that investor portfolios are going to fill up with a ton of Bitcoin and Bitcoin ETFs. That's not going to change. Lastly, let's look at some charts. Bitcoin crashed 11%. It dumped. But you look at this, and this is going all the way back to about September 2022 when Bitcoin was around the bottom, around 15, 16K. And then you could see our journey upwards. And we had some massive dips. You know, those 20% dips I showed you guys earlier? Yeah, you could see them. But ever since we started climbing due to the ETFs, there has not really been any major dips. Not extended dips. We just keep on going higher. And yesterday's or today's dip, well, it almost doesn't register. That's how insignificant it is. It's very insignificant. Like I said, nothing has changed. Fundamentally, nothing has changed with Bitcoin. And if you're charting it, it's so insignificant, it shouldn't even register. It shouldn't even be on your mind. And look at that line, that middle line, the halving 4 event. We're not even there yet. And we broke through all-time high like it was nothing. Like that was insignificant. Like no one cares about the halving event. But I'll tell you, people should care. That's usually when things really start moving. The parabolic phase starts happening. But we're a little bit ahead of the game right now.